have the language of the amendment to the amendment proposed by Mr. Kreisel. Mr. Kreisel, may I have you rise to repeat your motion to, or I'm sorry, do you have it in writing, what we're substituting in the amendment to the amendment? Okay, while Mr. Kreisel gets his amendment in writing, his proposed amendment in writing, the question has been called to end debate. We need to vote for or against that, okay? We're going to do a voice vote. And again, this is to end debate. 2/3 is required to end debate on the proposed amendment to the bylaws. Ready? Okay.
No.
Okay. Those in favor of ending debate on the previous question, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. Say no. Well, the ayes have it. The question's been called. Once we have Mr. Kreisel's language in writing, we will move to vote on that.
He's doing mention that to put the chair and the vice chair. Yes.
Well, because we got one.
All right. Now, we're going to try to simplify this. Essentially in writing, what we are about to vote on is, now remember this is a secondary amendment, so we're dealing with the proposed bylaws. The document should say proposed bylaws on the first page. The date should read July 24th. And this is from Article 4, Section 1B. Okay? So this is a two-part, not motion. We're going to do one vote, but there's two portions that's happening here, okay? Part 1 is to replace the vice chair language in Part B. I'm sorry. I saw B here. I'm sorry. Okay. We are in Article 5, Section 3, D. Apologies. Article 5, Section 3, D. Okay. Okay, so Part 1 is to replace the language vice chair with county chair. In both instances, under Section 3D, so it will read, if approved, the chair shall preside over all meetings of the board. I'm sorry, the county chair shall preside over all meetings of the board. If the county chair is not present, the board shall elect among themselves a presiding chair for that meeting only. Okay. Now, to make that make sense, we would move then to Article 4, Section 1B. We would delete the words, bless you, and be the presiding chair of the Executive Leadership Board. So this portion would then read, the vice chair shall assist the county chair. Period. In addition, the vice chair shall have the following duties. Okay? Is everybody clear? Yes. All right. We are now going to vote on those stated changes. We would substitute from Article 5, Section 3, and we would delete Article 4, Section 1, those words as stated, to that end. Everybody ready? Yes. All in favor of these changes, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. I apologize, guys. That wasn't clear. Y'all work with me. We're going to do a standing vote. Those in favor of the proposed changes, please stand. We need to see your wrist with your band that's visible and counters. Y'all can work through this.
You're not in favor? Right. You're not in favor? Sorry.
That takes all the time.
They gave them some paperwork.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, everybody against the secondary amendment, please rise and have your wrist with your wristband visible.
Against my interrupting. It's against.
She hasn't eaten all day. She's been snacking? Well, no, she hasn't eaten all day. Look, all I brought her. Good morning. My mama's cold. My mama's cold. Crisco.
Please be seated, thank you. How loud can you be? Okay. That's correct. This is an amendment to the proposed bylaws. So we're working through the bylaws. Correct.
First, they're going to vote on the amendment. Then we're going to vote on either the amendment or the unamended.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 121 votes counted. With that, I have 45 for, 76 against. That's shy of 80, which would put us at the 2/3 required for this amendment to pass. Before we voted, did we not say 2/3? Oh, okay, that was the cutoff debate. That was the cutoff debate.
Or 2/3 amended.
Was majority? Okay. My mistake, apologies. Okay, thank you. So with 76, we have a majority. The amendment passes. Oh my goodness, okay.
Grace, have grace.
The amendment is lost. We go back to the previous question, Mr. Rocket's proposed amendment. That was to replace the proposed bylaws with the proposed bylaws dated July 24th. With that, we go back to discussion on this first amendment, and I hand the mic back over to Madam Chairman. Apologies, my mistake.
Madam Chairman, you're doing a fine job. Keep it up.
Thank you, Mr. Rain. How can I help you?
Madam Chairman, Michael Rain, Precinct 2026. I rise to speak in favor of the substitute proposed bylaws, or the motion to substitute bylaws. First, let me tell you all that I have problems with both sets of bylaws as proposed. I'm not going to go into detail in all of those. Second of all, I want to commend Chairman Brem for the brevity of the bylaws proposed by her and her committee. but I think that they are lacking in clarity, and I think that's the primary problem that I've got with those proposed bylaws, and the reason that I am suggesting that you all vote in favor of the substitute bylaws. Would you be quiet? Thank you. Amen. Thank you. My first problem, it deals with Article 3 membership, Section 3, where it speaks in the case of, this is the chairman's proposed bylaws. In the case of a vacancy in the office, the order by which the vice chair positions are listed in Article 5, Section 2 shall be the order of succession. State law does not recognize a vice chair position in the local parties. Okay? Second of all, as it's written, it talks about Article 5, Section 2B, which lists 8 proposed vice chairmen who are possibly unelected officials of the party, not elected precinct chairs or the elected chairman. I don't have a problem, Chairman, if you have vice chairs or a vice chair position in charge of a particular task. Whether you call it a vice chair or whether you call it a chairman of a committee, I have no problem with that. What I have problems with, this microphone keeps cutting out. What I have a problem with is the order of succession, which is in violation of statute.
Thank you. Okay, so I have, wait, I'm sorry, Michael. Can you clarify, because you stated at the beginning you have issues with both proposals. Was that in favor? Because it sounds to me like you were against the proposal.
I'm in favor of the motion to substitute proposed bylaws.
Okay.
What I spoke about were difficulties. I'm clarifying. I was speaking about the difficulties that I had with the bylaws in the main motion and why I was voting in favor of the amended.
Thank you. We need to focus on brevity. Thank you, Michael. Do I have... Yeah, okay. Do I have anybody else against the proposed? May I please get your precinct chair and name?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm so short, I wanted to hold it. I'm Judy Walcott, 4160, and I would like to just speak briefly, I want to speak briefly on this. I feel that we need to recess to consider these bylaws because we were presented with 12 pages. They keep saying 10, 9 pages, it's 12 pages, counting the proposed bylaws and the rules. We were just presented with that tonight. And I propose that we recess so that we can consider this, and also the previous speaker didn't make sense because they're saying in this, one of the things that I've read, they're saying in this proposal that the vice chair will oversee the CEC meetings, not the CEC, but the management committee.
And I apologize now, so you are actually making a motion?
No, I'm not making a motion. Well, yes, I am. I'm making a motion that we recess. I'm making a motion that we recess.
For how long?
Motion's out of order.
To consider.
Because you have to finish the organizational meeting.
Yeah, to table, I want to make a motion to table the substitution.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that's in order. The purpose of this meeting is to establish the body, the officers, and also adopt bylaws.
Well, considering it's about 100 degrees in here, it's after 9 o'clock.
I understand.
And we just received these proposed bylaws. I mean, we don't, I just want to make a comment that I feel like Cynthia Brim was elected twice, really. She won the majority. And this group is pulling a Hillary. She was elected, acting like a bunch of
I appreciate the sentiments. I've been a precinct chair for many years now. I've sat through many of these meetings, and unfortunately, whether you like it or get tired of it, this is what we signed up for. And I'm here in long sleeves too, so trust me, I'm suffering. I'm not drinking ice water. I'm comfortable though, but I'm still suffering. I'm not Catholic. That was a joke. Ma'am, for clarification, once more, that motion was not the proper motion. It is for emergency needs only, and right now, we do have to adopt the bylaws.
We're getting to emergency.
Yes, sir.
Fred, I'm precinct 3032.
Okay.
I'm speaking in favor of the motion, and let me clarify some points. First of all, we did start. I was a committee member that was appointed by Mr. Durazio to consider this, but please understand why. The reason was that since 1988, we weren't able to successfully make any amendments or changes to the original bylaws, and it became difficult because it has to happen this night on the organizational night. So it becomes very, very difficult. And I respect the precinct chair who spoke before, because I understand you're getting this information tonight, but this is when it happens. This is when it's supposed to happen. So one more thing is that when the SREC meets on a quarterly basis, similar to what we do, the leadership team who we elected, I'm no longer SREC. So when we elect the leadership team, they meet on a regular basis with the chair and the officers to conduct business that cannot be handled on a quarterly basis. There is business that we CEC have to handle on a very regular basis outside of our quarterly meetings. So I speak in favor, and let me just say this last part is that what was done by the committee with attorneys and businessmen and women, and we had CPAs, and there were several things, so that it was incredible. But it took a long time, for weeks and weeks. We met sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, and for several hours. And so what was being discussed is the officers.
Thank you. We're out of time. Thank you. Do I have anybody else speaking against? Andres, can I get your precinct, please?
Yeah, Andres Holiday, precinct 4115. I'm speaking against the proposed substitution. I just want to ask a quick question. If you guys think Congress was going to pass a 10-page bill the same night that they presented it, would everybody be okay with that? I just don't think so. I don't think so at all. Would anybody be okay? Has anybody who just received this read the whole thing? I bet you haven't. And so the idea that you want us to pass a 10-page bylaws, 10-page bylaws, when we've already had one that was 2 pages long mailed to us, is, in my opinion, barbaric. Also, in that fact, we're talking about how we're limited government, but yet we're going to a 10-page. So which one is limited government? Is it a 2-page bylaws, or is it a 10-page bylaws? Because in my opinion, if it's 10 pages, that sounds like big government to me. And that's what I'm fighting against. I'm not fighting for it. And so I suggest everybody truly consider what's going on here. This isn't the first time we've dealt with this kind of stuff. The same thing happens every single year. They come in with their own new ideas on how they think the party should run because they didn't win. She got 70% of the election. I ran against her and I'm still supporting her because I know what she's trying to do. We need to come together and we need to fight for what's right. Let's not support something that's 10 pages long, that was written by the same people we are fighting against, and let's go for something that's limited, 2 pages, and empowers us to win in November.
Louis Kreisel, precinct 2082, point of information.
I'm sorry, Louis, are you for or against?
Point of
Oh,
information.
yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Please tell me if I'm correct. We have the option tonight to vote against both of these. And if we did, the bylaws from the last biennium would be in effect until we amend them, and that we would have the opportunity at a later date to do that.
I apologize, Louis, I don't believe that to be correct. This is a new body. We have two proposed bylaws on the table.
Make a motion for the bylaw.
I apologize once more, it's mistaken. Thank you, Louis.
So the answer is, I'm correct. We have the option to vote down both of these, and then the previous bylaws remain in effect until we amend them at some future date.
Yes,
The
sir.
answer is yes.
Correct.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Gibbons.
Patty Gibbons, 3063. I call the question.
No.
We've had three. We've had 3 and 3.
One moment, please. All right, previous question is moved. Once more, this is to end debate. I'm sorry, 3 and 3. All right, this is to replace the original proposed bylaws and substitute them with the second proposed bylaws, more lengthy one.
Madam Chair, is this to end debate?
This is to replace the 2-page with a 10-page.
No, no.
We debated that.
Question's been called, let's go.
Point of information, are we voting to end debate, correct?
I'm getting mixed. That was my original understanding. Our parliamentarians concur. We do vote, since the question's been called, we are voting whether or not the body wants to end debate, though we have had 3 in favor and 3 against.
All right.
If we want to continue debate, we can choose to do so. Right now, we're about
No,
to
we called
vote
the question, so we have to
to
vote.
end debate.
There you go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Again, to end debate. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye! Those opposed, say nay. Okay. The ayes have it. Previous question has been called. The motion is now to substitute the proposed bylaws, that is the 2-page bylaws, with the 10-page bylaws, okay? Again, we are voting to substitute the 2-page with the 10-page proposed bylaws.
No. Substituting the 10-page with the 2-page. The July 24th proposed.
Day's getting long, bear with me.
It is.
Yes, okay. Apologies. We are voting whether or not to substitute the 2-page with the 10-page. All right. We are about to vote to substitute the July 21st with the 24th. June 21st with the July 24th. Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
point of clarification. I believe we're voting on the substitution of the proposed bylaws, Republican Party of Bexar County, July 24th, 2018, as a substitute for the other bylaws.
That is correct. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, everybody ready? Those in favor with the substitution, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
No, heaven.
The chair is unclear. Okay guys, again for brevity, instead of doing just a standing, we're going to do a count off. Okay? Y'all understand? All right.
Division.
Oh, no.
Those in favor of a standing vote, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
No.
All right, we're going to stand. We'll go to a standing vote. Those in favor of the substitution, please stand and make your wristband visible to be counted.
You want a substitution? Yeah, there you go.
Anybody here boarding?
Yes. Raise your wrist, please.
That's okay.
Just go like Friday.
I just found something better to do. I mean, this looks like crap.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Those opposed to the substitution, please stand with your wristband visible to be counted.
Not enough, you guys got it. Take the control away from the chair.
Put your hand up, buddy.
That's what they want to do.
Go ahead. Put your hand up.
Who cares? I'm here. I'm standing up. Is she not getting me? You're Patty. I've got my hand up. I got you.
Yeah.
Are you voting? Tried everything else.
There's one more step. Voting.
Thank you. You may be seated. It's not a tie. The ayes have it. Okay. The motion to substitute is adopted.
Can you give us the vote, Madam Chair?
I certainly can.
Oh, you're sweet.
That was 74 for, 54 against to substitute. Okay, so we go back to the original question of adopting the bylaws. What we now have in our hands should be the proposed bylaws with the date of July 24th up for adoption.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Gibbons.
Well, Chair Lady. Patty Gibbons, 3063. I make a motion to accept the bylaws as...
Do I have a second? Second. Do we have discussion? Okay, question has been called. Do I have a second? Second.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Josh Reynolds, Precinct 1079. I think we should have debate on accepting these proposed bylaws.
I do apologize. The question has been called.
We aren't accepting the bylaws that Cynthia had, but we have this set that is the one that is here, and we're voting on whether or not to accept it, right?
Yes, sir, but I opened the floor for discussion, and the question was called prior to you rising to debate.
Someone walk up to the mic and call questions?
Still haven't had a debate, no way.
No, I don't think anybody walked up to the mic and said questions.
Can I speak against it?
Yes, you can.
Yes. How does the body feel about this? Because there is a small point of contention. The gentleman that did call the question did not rise to the microphone. The gentleman who would like to discuss it did rise and walk to the microphone. So there was some decorum.
Point of order.
Yes.
The gentleman can debate against the previous question, and he needs to be allowed to debate against the previous question.
Okay.
You should be able to debate.
Yep. Mr. Durazio, may I get your precinct number, please?
Precinct number 3091.
Thank you.
1 second.
And I'm sorry, gentlemen that called the question, may I get your precinct?
3174.
Okay, and sorry, playing catch up. Once more, sir, may I please get your precinct?
1079. Am I too close?
Yeah, he's in 5. He's in 5.
These bylaws are invalid, aren't they?
One moment, please. Okay. Mr. Durazio, I understand this gentleman does want to speak against. However, he did call the question, and I had a second, and I didn't have an objection at that time.
Madam Chairman, if I may, point of order.
Yes, sir.
You did not ask for debate.
I actually did. I'm sorry. I do
was
have
coming to the microphone. You got to give some time for that.
Michael.
Madam Chairman, if I may, point of order.
Okay. And the person who asked the question was not recognized.
That's right. Nobody's been recognized.
Michael Rain.
Madam Chairman, Michael Rain, Precinct 2026. I believe it was my voice that seconded that calling of the question. I agreed the gentleman should be allowed to argue against it.
Okay. Hearing that, are we okay with debate? No! Yes.
If we're having a question, it is open to debate. Check your Robert Rules of Order.
It is the determination of the parliamentarian that previous question does not require debate.
It's not allowed.
I'm sorry, does not allow.
There's another motion on the floor, whether or not to accept these proposed bylaws. We just went through on whether we were going to accept the substitution, but I heard you make a motion to take a vote. So. Oh, shit.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Rocket.
point of information.
Yes, sir.
Can the, excuse me, parliamentarian clarify under RPT Rule number 16, subletter B, exception at any convention, a motion to move the previous question or to close nomination concerning any election, including election of delegates and alternates, shall not be in order until there has been a reasonable opportunity for additional nominations, debate, or amendment. As far as I know, there's only been one person to speak on this, and that's me. So I'm okay with having more debate, and I think that we would be in violation of Rule 16 if we call the question.
Is that right? We got a ruling on her, that's right. We better do it.
You said it's very unusual. Robert says that you must allow time.
Oh, God.
All the meetings I go to, we debate them, but I don't know. I'm going to our board meetings. I don't know.
Remember, we moved the previous question. When the previous question is stated, the motion should go to an immediate vote. There is no debate on previous question. Call for the question and previous question mean the same thing. So we are now going to the previous question, which is to substitute.
Can I ask a question? Just so I can make my point clear.
You have a point.
I'm asking if the vote on the floor is whether or not we are accepting these bylaws. My argument is that we can go forward as a body and say we don't have bylaws until an acceptable plan is accepted by the body as a whole. Because these bylaws here, I just now saw them. I've only read one page of them, and you know they're trying to put
I apologize. I believe you are debating at this point.
Well,
I'm sorry. So at this point, per the parliamentarian's determination, although I apologize, Mr. Durazio, Mr. Rain, I personally do believe debate would be okay and be had. The room is getting testy. The parliamentarian says that it is out of order. Okay.
Point of order. Andres Holiday,
So we
4115.
can vote. No?
He can withdraw his motion, can he?
Okay, well, unfortunately, I am incredibly patient and tolerant, so I am willing to hear debate then. If we have additional people who want to speak. And as per Mr. Rocket's point, there has been an individual who spoke in favor. We can have one person speak against. I do believe in the spirit of fairness, that would be okay.
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying to speak against the calling of the question? Or are you saying to speak against the motion to approve?
The question was called, a secondary motion was made to speak against the first motion prior to the question being
Right.
called.
Well, then I would say point of order, because one of the original rules that was stated in the beginning of the meeting was that you had to be recognized in order to make a motion or something, right? That person was never recognized.
That's
They just
right.
randomly screamed. So, okay, well, that's the point of order. The point of order is that you accepted something that was never recognized in the beginning.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Holliday. The chair agrees with you. Mr. Rain also agrees, and I believe that should be sufficient.
And Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Michael Rain, Precinct 2026. To clear up any issue whatsoever, I move that we reopen the question for debate.
Oh, good.
Seconded.
Okay, guys, we're going to do a voice vote on reopening debate. It has been so
Madam
moved
Chair,
and seconded.
Madam Chair, this
Yes.
is Cheryl Hagenson, Precinct 3028. That's completely out of order.
Because we never voted.
The question has been called, it's been seconded, debate is not reopened.
Cheryl, I do understand. However, there is a point of contention. The gentleman who called the question did not attempt to move to the microphone as you just did. So, and he wasn't recognized. So,
Yeah, so she's out of order.
I did, but as I did, he was also walking to the microphone.
It's out of order.
Madam Chairman, Josh Reynolds, Precinct 1079. I'd like to make a motion that we debate each item of these bylaws point by point.
There's already a motion on the floor, and that is to reopen debate.
Every kettle, every knife, every tea. Let's go.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
you recognize the motion, and you called the motion, the question has been called, and that's what's on the floor only. Parliamentarian agreed with that call, and that's what we should vote on. It's not about whether you recognize the person with the number, it's that you did recognize the motion.
Thank you, Patty.
36-2.
At this point, I do
Madam-
apologize. Yes.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if my motion is not proper, then maybe divide the question would be the proper way to put it.
Well, at that point, we're going back to the question that's been called, and we will vote on whether or not we are adopting the bylaws at hand. The question was called and it was seconded, so if that's the motion at hand, and I did recognize him, you're correct. All right, so we're going to vote on the previous question, which is whether or not we adopt the proposed bylaws with the state. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Michael, do you have a point, or? Yes, sir.
Point of order. Are we going to consider my motion, which has been seconded, to reopen debate?
Yes.
I had not heard a ruling whether it was out of order or not.
No, it's not out of order.
Yeah, it is. The previous.
I'm making my own first.
So the later it gets, the more in favor it gets.
The other people did.
It'll work.
Guys, okay. We have dissenting opinions. We're going to vote on whether or not to open the floor for debate. Okay? If we have enough people that are opposed, it ends there. And the question was called, so essentially, look, that's the vote, okay? We're either going to reopen the floor, or we're going to vote on adopting the bylaws as amended. Yes, sir.
Chair, point of information, Grant Moody 3174. I believe that vote is the same as the previous question called.
Yes, sir, I did.
As a body deciding whether we want to continue to debate or actually move forward with the vote.
You are correct. So essentially, we've been arguing a moot point. Yes. At this point, if you are in favor of reopening the floor for debate, you will be opposed to this vote. If you want to stop debate, you will vote in favor. Does that make sense? No. Who said no? Okay. This vote is to end debate. If you are in favor, you will vote to end debate. Okay, you will say aye at the time. Ready? Is everybody ready? Is everybody clear? Thank you. Okay. To end debate, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. To reopen the floor, please say no. No.
Oh, brother.
Okay. It is the determination that the ayes have it. Debate is closed. The question has been moved. Excuse me, the previous question is now at hand. Whether or not to adopt the proposed bylaws dated July 24th. Everybody clear?
From the chair, the 10 page.
No. The original bylaws that we were dealing with at the beginning are out. We're not discussing that any longer. This is for the proposed bylaws that we voted to consider, okay?
Madam Chair, call the question on this.
That's redundant.
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right. To adopt the bylaws as proposed. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye!
All opposed, please say no.
No!
Chair is unclear. Let's get a standing vote, please. All in favor? Upright, wrist visible. Once more, this is to adopt the proposed bylaws dated July 24th. Presented today. All in favor, please stand.
Lauren, are you voting?
Oh, well. I'll do something.
Sergeant at Arms. Good photo there.
Attention. Can there be harmony? Can there be harmony after this? That's running, but you make me stand in front of it.
Man, I'm trying to look at it, so it might kick me out.
The whole meeting's up back again.
Thank you. You may be seated. Please be seated. Those against adopting the proposed bylaws dated July 24th, please stand with your wristband visible.
Not enough. Take the power away.
Now, pay attention when you elect the secretary, because you're electing the chairman of the management.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. The adopted bylaws, or excuse me, the proposed bylaws have been adopted. We have 69 for, 57 against. Thank you very much for your patience. I will now hand it back over. Maybe not. Madam Chairman.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. There's holiday 4115. Was it supposed to be a simple majority or was it 2/3?
That's right.
Please check that.
Thank you. Andreas asked if we needed a 2/3 vote for the bylaw approval. And I have been corrected. Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, point of order. At the organizational meeting, you do not require a 2/3 vote. It's a majority vote. It requires a 2/3 vote to amend at future meetings. At future meetings.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman? Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just a question. What statute says specifically that the vote's supposed to be simple majority and not 2/3? Or what rule or what party rules?
I would appreciate the literature. Yes, ma'am.
Marion Stanko, Precinct 2110. It is RPT Rule 8E, under organizational meeting.
Thank you.
Adopting the bylaws is by majority.
Yeah.
Thank you. It has been confirmed. Majority is sufficient. The bylaws have been adopted.
Thank you very much.
The next order of business is the election and appointment of officers, election of the secretary, and other officers as needed. So we're taking nominations for vice chair. Reading your bylaws.
What are we doing? Where are we at?
Article 4.
Election secretary.
Okay, the chair stands corrected. The election of the secretary and other officers is needed. And I went to Article 4, Section 1, and it begins with the vice chair, secretary, treasurer shall be elected by a majority vote, which was what I just read. And so I say let's start with the vice chair.
Point of information, please.
Yes, Mr. Kreisel.
Louis Kreisel, Precinct 2082. Point of information while I'm here, first in line. When we get to the vice chair, I would like you to remember that since you are making the vice chair the chairman of the executive board, that person, in my opinion, has the preponderance of power in this county. So be very careful who you vote for.
Thank you, Mr. Kreisel. Oh, shall we do vice chair first?
You do vice chair?
Vice chair.
Madam Chair, Patty Gibbons, 3063. I'm going to make a nomination for...
I think it's important to note that the vice chair position is one that has a lot of duties and responsibilities as it pertains to the board. The board is new, so the board is going to be trying to figure out what exactly their duties represent and how best to work with the chairman. So I think it's important that we pick someone who can work with the chairman as well as with the other board members in order to accomplish the business of getting Republicans elected. That's the whole reason this party exists. So I hope that you will take that into consideration when you vote for vice chair.
Next nomination was Weston Martinez.
Good evening. You know, I'm thankful that we're here today, and you know, we're working together to try to get people elected in November. You know, a lot of us, we've worked through some issues, and we've got some issues to work through. But you know what? If this is what the body wants, I'm willing to serve, but I'll promise you this. I'm going to do what's right, regardless of who's on the other side of that, and I'm going to make sure that we move to get people elected in November, because George Soros and the Castro brothers and everybody down the list wants to take over Bexar County even deeper than they currently have.
Amen.
We need to make sure that we are working together to move things forward. I don't agree with some of y'all in the room, and some of y'all don't agree with me. You know what? I think that means we're going to have to work together to win. That is what we need to do as a party. That is what we need to do as a county, and that is what we need to do as a CEC. I served as a precinct chair previously. I served as state Republican executive committee member previously, and I've been involved in helping on different campaigns, and as you know, I've run for a campaign or two. That's a desire to serve the body. If the body wills it, I will serve, but I promise you, it will be what's right and what's true, regardless of who's on the other side of that equation. And I believe that we have more that puts us together than actually separates us. We have to start looking at what we're going to do to move the party forward. Thank you for your time. Weston Martinez.
Okay, thank you. I will not take much time.
Keep your mouth shut.
Okay, look, when I was nominated by this lady, and I thank you very much.
What is your name?
I was about to tell you that. My name is Marco Crawford. And I heard about 25 people say who whenever they heard my name. I've been in San Antonio for 3.5 years, 4 years more or less. I'm from Corpus Christi. I'm a civil trial attorney. Prior to being a trial attorney, I represented the Diocese of Corpus Christi and the Bishop of Corpus Christi. I did that for a number of years. I moved here. I'm married. I have 4 daughters. I won't take too much time on who I am, but I want you to know who I am. I think you deserve to know who I am, number one. Number two, I think before we consider winning elections, we got to come together.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, this is the first time I've attended this meeting, and I'll admit it. And you can criticize me for that, that's fine. The first time, and I almost walked out of the room.
Yeah, me too.
And look, I understand there's conflict, I understand politics is politics, but we're not winning anything if we don't come together as conservatives first. When we're Republicans, and if you look at the platform of the Republican Party, it's rooted in what? The Constitution, liberty, these ideals that we hold as conservatives. And that's why I wanted to be the vice chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus, because of the emphasis on the Constitution and on liberty. All I can say is, look, I'm grateful for the nomination. And if I lose, I lose. That's just life. I've lost before. I do thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you. And look, I do work for Thomas J. Henry. I don't know who said that. I'm assuming that's meant to be a criticism. But I have no problem representing people who are in wheelchairs and who are catastrophically injured. I have no problem doing that. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Again, this is why we lose elections, by the way. Right here.
I'd like to ask this assembly to please recognize Mr. Canty. He has a timer. I did not designate anyone else in this room to be a timer.
Amen.
Let's be respectful of that, one of another. Thank you. Okay. All those that are in favor of...
Madam Chairman, point of order. Marion Stanko, 2110. Anytime there's an election for an office, it should be by secret ballot.
That's true. I want to know who you vote for.
As a point for expediency, can we just do a room count?
Room count.
No, Madam Chairman, it is required to have it by secret ballot.
Will you please provide me the chapter and verse, Ms. Stanko?
Rule number what?
Section.
Okay.
Yeah, we've always done it by secret ballot.
Yeah, we have. It's safety. It's safety. I know, but I see.
Okay, since no information was provided, I move that those in favor for Chris Rocket, please rise.
Madam Chairman, our standing rule number 7 clearly states that it will be by secret ballot.
Will you provide that for me here, Ms. Stanko?
From the new bylaws, Madam Chairman.
Oh, she made that right. They want to do secret stuff. That's what they want to do.
Okay, I stand corrected. It's on the new adopted bylaws. On page 2, the very back, rule number 7.
Madam Chairman,
Michael Zuniga, can you give us some secret ballots?
Madam Chairman, Chris Anderson, 3083. I make a motion we suspend that rule.
Do I hear a second? All right, all those in favor of suspending the rule, please rise.
What are you afraid of?
Rise if you're in favor of suspending the rules and not having a secret ballot. All right, and those opposed?
It's got to be 2/3.
It's got to be 2/3. Okay, give me some secret ballots, Mr. Zuniga. So can we just put whoever you want on your ticket so we don't have to go through each one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Put your name on it too.
Okay, the candidates,
Madam Chairwoman.
The candidates for Vice Chair, Chris Rocket, Weston Martinez, and Marco Crawford.
Madam Chairman, I have a box of 2x2 squares cut that we used it for another meeting. If you'd like to have them, nobody's touched them. They're clean and you're welcome to them.
Mr. Zuniga has ballots. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're ready, we're ready.
Yeah.